If a great white shark loses a tooth, it gets completely replaced. You can see it in this animation. There's a new bud that keeps generating new teeth, and this thing can go through tens and 30,000s of teeth in its lifetime. But see, the thing is that it doesn't work like this for humans. And humans are sort of like cars. If you take a pair of scissors and cut the brake line on a Honda Civic, the car doesn't magically grow a brand new fully functional engine. But if you take a highly specific strand of genetic code strand and you use it to cut microscopic brake lines inside your jaw or in your face, then you literally grow a brand new living bone. And you can see this in this animation right here, and this is exactly what I want to talk about today. You know, teeth aren't technically bones. They're ectodermal organs made of enamel and dentin, but the point stands. The entirety of the human history, we have universally accepted a very depressing biological rule. You get your baby teeth, and then you get your adult teeth, and then you lose those. And if you do lose those, you just get to eat soup the rest of your life. But the team of Japanese researchers just were trying to change that whole rule, and they've come up with something really interesting. We are actively entering, ladies and gentlemen, human trials for a drug that regrows teeth, and the way it works is one of the most violent, fascinating biological assassinations in the modern medicine. I've talked about this in a previous video, which was wildly successful, and in this video, I'm going to explain how everything works. You can watch that video right here or right here. To understand how we are going to start regrowing human teeth as human beings, we have to talk about why we stopped growing them in the first place. And the best way to illustrate this is by using this three-dimensional animation right here. If you look at an alligator, for example, or a shark, they have infinite teeth. They are what biologists call polyphyllodonts. A shark can go through 30,000 teeth in a lifetime. The teeth are sitting in their jaws on the biological conveyor belt like this one here, and as soon as one falls out, the belt just keeps moving forward and fresh razor-sharp teeth pop into place. Human beings and basically all mammals, we only get two set of teeth. There's a biological name for that, but I'm not going to bore you with all of that. Why did evolution rip us off? Why did the universe decide that a shark gets infinite teeth? Well, and humans don't really do that. But if I bite down on a hard popcorn kernel, I have to pay an organ surgeon $4,000 to drill a titanium screw into my skull. In fact, I've been boxing back in the day before I went to pharmacy school, and I have a tooth missing, and I've been waiting for this technology to come out, though we're going to talk about the implications later on. I want some people to test it out before I use it, but reptiles and sharks don't really chew. They grab, they tear, and they swallow chunks as a whole. Mammals have an incredibly high metabolism. We need to extract maximum calories from our food, which means we have to chew, and we have to basically turn it into a fine paste. To do that, our top and bottom teeth have to interlock perfectly. It's called an occlusion. And to understand how this works, if your teeth were constantly falling out and grown back at different rates, like an alligator, for example, your jaw would be a chaotic, jagged mess. You wouldn't be able to grind up nuts or seeds or meat. You would basically starve to death. So evolution made a brutal trade-off. It gave us a highly durable, perfectly locked teeth, but it slapped a hard biological stop sign on the conveyor belt that you saw that works for sharks. We traded infinite teeth for a faster metabolism. And there's an absolute craziest part of this that a lot of people don't really talk about. Evolution didn't actually destroy the conveyor belt. It just hit the pause button. And to understand how this works, my producer has created this animation for us, which is fascinating. When your adult permanent teeth erupt, your jaw leaves behind a microscopic cluster of cells called the third dental crest. You can see it right here. Let's make the animation just a little smaller so you can see it. It's right here. It's this red thing right there. It's a dormant tooth bud. The blueprints are still there. The workers are still on a site. They're just waiting for a signal that never comes. And the reason why they never get the signal is because of a very specific, very annoying villain protein called USAG1. USAG1, as you can see here, is denoted by this red thing that's basically blocking it. Now, USAG1, which stands for Uterine Sensitization Association Gene 1, is the biological emergency brake. To understand how this works, inside your jaw, there are two massive signaling pathways. One is called BMP, bone morphogenic protein, and the BMP signal is the green one that keeps coming in but never reaches the bud. And the other is called WNT. When these pathways are active, they scream at the cells in your jaw to start building a tooth. But USAG1 acts as a chemical blanket. It physically binds to BMP and WNT, smothering the signal. It intercepts the radio transmission. The tooth bud stays asleep and the third set of teeth never grows. As you can see, the signal comes in from the DNA and from everywhere else, but it's getting blocked by the USAG1. So researchers at the Kyoto University at a biotech startup called the Torregen Biopharma asked an incredibly obvious question. Here's what they said. Well, what if we just kill the USAG1? If we remove the chemical blanket, will the radio signal reach the workers? Will the tooth actually grow? And they've conducted a plethora of different experiments, and it turns out that yes, it actually will. They have tested this in ferrets and mice. Some of these animals have a genetic mutation that causes them to lack teeth completely. The researchers have neutralized the USAG1 protein, the BMP signaling pathway cleared up, and the animals literally grew brand new teeth, fully formed teeth, because we have blocked the signal. As you can see, that's exactly what they're doing right here. But how do you translate that into humans? You can't just reach into your jawbone with a microscopic tweezer and pull out the protein. There's billions of them. You can't really find it. You have to use a genetic assassin. You have to use what's called siRNA. Now, to understand how siRNA works, you need a 30-second crash course on the central dogma of biology. You can look this up. I'm not going to turn this into a lecture, but in general sense, and everything I'm talking about is a gross oversimplification. Your DNA is a permanent reference manual locked inside the nucleus of your cells. When your body wants to build a protein like USAG1, for example, it doesn't risk taking the original manual out of the library. It makes a cheap disposable photocopy called messenger RNA or mRNA. You've probably heard about vaccines, the mRNA vaccines. The mRNA leaves the nucleus, goes into a protein factory called the ribosome. As you can see, that's the one right here. And ribosome reads the instructions and builds the protein. So your nucleus makes a photocopy, it goes into your ribosome. I know the animation is a little quick. Historically, pharmaceuticals try to attack the finished protein, but the proteins are huge, complex 3D origami structures. Finding a drug that fits perfectly into a protein to turn it off is incredibly hard. Let's turn off the pathway here. Now, siRNA, which stands for small interfering RNA, doesn't fight the protein. It basically shoots the messenger. And here's exactly what's happening. This siRNA is a synthetic microscopic strand of genetic code designed in a lab. It is engineered to be the exact perfect mirror image of the USAG1 mRNA photocopy. So DNA, DNA, RNA, mRNA, and then the siRNA. Again, gross oversimplification. When you inject the siRNA into the tissue, it gets absorbed by the cells in your jaw. Once inside, it gets picked up by the natural cellular machinery called RISC complex. And RISC stands for RNA-induced silencing complex. RISC is basically a biological pair of scissors that is blind. It needs a guide dog. The synthetic siRNA acts as a guide dog. It loads into the RISC complex, and then they float around the cell together. And this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to trigger this so you can see what's happening now that you're starting to understand this whole process. The second the nucleus spits out a photocopy of the USAG1 instructions, the siRNA recognizes it. It perfectly binds to the target, the RISC scissors snap shut, and they physically chop the mRNA in half. And what happens when you chop the mRNA in half? The instructions are destroyed. The ribosome never receives the blueprint. The USAG1 protein is never manufactured. And if you remember, USAG1 is the enemy here. The USAG1 is the one that's like the blanket that's completely neutralizing the signal, the BMP signal that comes into the third bud, into the cells that build your third set of teeth and then blocks it. So we are basically destroying the blanket. You did not just block the emergency brake, you went into the factory and burned the blueprints for the brake pads. You didn't burn them, you sort of blocked them as they're getting manufactured. They will always get manufactured, but you just basically took all that stuff from the manufacturing line and you destroyed it. Without USEG1 constantly suppressing the environment, the local BMP, you'll see what's happening here, and WNT signaling pathways finally, after years of silence, reach the dormant third dental crest, which is this thing at the bottom, the red thing. The stem cells wake up, they start dividing, they differentiate into enamel-producing amyloblasts and dentin-producing odontoblasts. Yes, and brand new natural living tooth erupts through the gums. This is not science fiction, ladies and gentlemen. As of late 2024 and 25, human clinical trials have actively begun. The initial targets are patients with congenital tooth agenesis, people born with a genetic condition where they are missing teeth entirely. But the long-term goal of the research is to make this a standard procedure for anyone who loses a tooth to cavity or maybe to even an accident, obviously. So once again, let's go through this once again. The mRNA, you're going to see, is going to get administered right here by an injection, the siRNA. And it's going to start to block the RISC. It's going to bind to the RISC and it's going to stop the assembly line. Because of that, some of these green things, which are the BMP signals for the growth of the teeth, is reaching the tooth and a new tooth starts to erupt. So this is off. Take a look at the tooth right here and take a look at the number of the green stuff that's coming into the tooth. You'll see that some of the green things are actually making their way to the third dental crest and the tooth is getting bigger. This is my interpretation of the tooth is basically growing out. Ladies and gentlemen, instead of an oral surgeon cutting your gums open, drilling a hole into your jawbone, screwing a titanium post, waiting 3 months for it to heal, and gluing a piece of fake porcelain on top of it, they could just inject a localized dose of siRNA, and you already know what that is, or pack it into a dissolvable gelatin sponge and let your body execute a sequence it already knows how to do. Now, why is this such a huge deal? Why does it matter if my fake tooth is made of metal or made of real enamel? Well, obviously, for obvious reasons, your teeth are much better than titanium teeth, right? Because we have spent the last hundreds of years treating a human body like a broken car, and we're finally entering a new era. This is a fundamentally different way of treating disease and treating us. When a part fails, we rip it out and replace it with an inert dead material. We'd put in plastic hips, titanium knees, and porcelain teeth. It's carpentry. It's incredibly impressive carpentry, but it ignores the fundamental truth of who we are and what we are. We are not machines. We are not a Honda Civic. We are self-assembling, self-repairing organisms. For a millennia, for thousands of years, the blueprints to heal ourselves have been locked away inside our own cells, guarded by biological stop signals, and because of the evolution, put it in there for reasons that no longer apply to us. We are finally learning how to read the code. We are learning how to take the biological brakes off. We are moving from the medical era of replacement to a medical era of regeneration. But hey, floss your teeth anyway. I'll see you tomorrow.